In this video, I'll be taking you through the process of crocheting this cute crochet cargo skirt. Hey, and welcome to yet another video. Today we'll be crocheting a cargo skirt, and the materials we'll need are a measuring tape, some scissors, a 3mm crochet hook, and some yarn, of course. And we'll also need a darning needle and a stitch marker, although I didn't record them in the initial video. And this skirt is inspired by Brianna Sipp. I borrowed the pattern from her YouTube channel where she has shown how to make the skirt. So I just followed the instructions on her page, and I decided to make a tutorial because I'll be making the skirt unique to me. It's not exactly like hers. Mine is a bit longer, and also I've positioned the pockets differently. So I decided to make a tutorial of me making the skirt, and I'll just guide you through the steps that I took. So we will begin with the foundation chain, but before making the foundation chain, let's make a slip knot. And when making the knot, we ensure that we leave a tail behind. So when making the chain, we will first put our tail yarn on the crochet hook, then our working yarn, and then pull our working yarn through the two loops. Then we should continue like this until we reach our desired width, which should be the same length as our widest part of our hips. And I will see you when I'm done with my chain. Here I was done with the chain, and I was just measuring to ensure that it's okay and the skirt will fit me well. I made the skirt a little bit baggy. It's not extremely fitting. I just needed a baggy fit. So I confirmed it was okay. And now it's time to begin our rows. And first, we should chain 3. With our working yarn, we leave our tail yarn hanging and we chain 3. And then after chaining 3, we should begin our extended half double crochets to create our first row. To do an extended half double crochet, you first yarn over. You go through the first stitch on the foundation chain, like I'm doing in the video. Then yarn over. And go through one loop, and then yarn over and go through the remaining 3 loops. I'll repeat the process again. Yarn over, go through the second stitch on the foundation chain, pull your yarn through, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over, go through the remaining 3 loops. And you should continue with this until you finish the first row of your skirt. I'll continue, and I'll see you when I'm done with the first row. Here I was done with the first row, and unfortunately I did not capture when joining the rows. However, you should just do a slip stitch after the final extended half double crochet of the first row, and then chain 2, turn your work and continue with the extended half double crochet. You will do this until you reach your desired length, and I will see you when I'm done with mine. This is my skirt's base, and I managed to do 50 rows of extended half double crochets, and the width and the height of my skirt are the same at 17.5 inches. And now that we are done with the skirt, it's time for the waistband. For the waistband, we should first start with a foundation chain by chaining 8, as we want to work with the width of our waistband extending until it can go around our waist. So we will begin with a chain of 8 stitches, and after we are done with our 8 stitches, we chain 2, turn our work, and continue working with single crochet. So here I'm done with my foundation chain, and I'm chaining 2 and just working on the single crochet. So for the single crochet stitch, you go through the stitch and pull your yarn, then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook chain. Continue that for the entire row, and chain 1, then turn your work. For the third row, continue with the single crochet stitch, but only go through both loops for the first and 8th stitch. From stitch 2 to 6, only go through the loop that is far from you to create a ribbing effect. You want to do this for the rest of your waistband until you reach your desired length. Here I had already finished my waistband. I had achieved the desired height. And after you finish yours, make sure you leave a tail 3 times the size of the waistband for sewing in the waistband and attaching it to the skirt. And once you've left a tail enough, it's time to attach the waistband to the base. To attach our waistband, we will need to first lay it down with our skirt, and our waistband should be a little bit smaller than our skirt for most people. When attaching, we will need a darning needle to sew in the two pieces together, and we will also need a stitch marker. For me, I'll be using a safety pin, which was not really a good idea. But before attaching, please ensure you choose the side that you want to be the front, the outside, and the inside, because when we sew in, we will be sewing in the inside to ensure that the stitches do not show out on the outside. So the steps for attaching the waistbands are attaching our needle, our darning needle, to the tail that we left on our waistband. And after attaching the needle, we start sewing our waistband. We should sew in stitch by stitch to ensure that every stitch gets sewn to attach the waistband together. And after attaching, ensuring that our waistband is intact, it's now time to attach it to the skirt. Before attaching our waistband to the base of the skirt, it's important to ensure that the waistband can stretch to the same size as the base of the skirt to guarantee that it will not give us any problem when sewing in. Then using a stitch marker, in this case which I'm using a safety pin, we should attach the other side of the skirt, the other half of the skirt to the base of the skirt to ensure that when we are sewing in, we don't go past this half mark and make the skirt to look funny. It should be even on all sides. And now using the darning needle that we attached to our waistband, we should begin sewing in the skirt's base to the waistband. When sewing, we should go stitch by stitch in the skirt's base and attach it on any available space on the waistband to guarantee that the skirt is even and it looks okay, because the waistband is small, meaning that more stitches will have to go through there than the skirt. I'll go on to attach my waistband to the skirt's base, and I'll see you when I'm done. Here I had already finished attaching my waistband to the base of the skirt, and I tied in the remaining tail from sewing in to the tail we left on the foundation chain of the skirt's base. We just make a few knots to tie these two together, and we will leave a small length for weaving in later. Also, I made some belt loops of camera, and for the loops we are going to begin with a slip knot and single crochets, I mean. So we're going to put a single crochet where we want our loop to start, and then after making the single crochet we go to our next two spaces where we want the loop to be, and just single crochet in those two spaces. And after you single crochet in the three spaces, now like so, you chain two, and then turn your work and continue with extended half double crochets. You should do 3 rows of extended half double crochets to finish the loop, after which you will make slip stitches at the top of the chain to attach the loop to the upper part of the waistband. And after you're done with this, secure with a knot and leave the tail for weaving in. And now it's time to attach the button, and I attached my button in the most traditional way possible. I just put some yarn through the button, and I attached it to my skirt and tied a knot at the back of the skirt and left some end that I would sew in later. I don't think this is the recommended way to attach a button, but I just took the easy way out on this one. Here I was making the pockets, and for this project we'll be making two types of square pockets. We will be making two small pockets and two bigger pockets with their flaps. For the small pockets, which is the one I'm making in this footage that is displayed on the screen right now, I chained 15 and then I did 8 rows of extended half double crochets to get that square look and to ensure that they are the perfect size for where I want to place them. Here I was done with the smaller pockets and I was just making the bigger pockets. For the bigger pockets and their flaps, I chained 25 stitches on the foundation chain, and for the pocket I did 12 rows of extended half double crochets, while for the flap I did 6 rows of extended half double crochets. I will get done with my pockets and I'll see you when I have all 4 pockets ready. Here I had all the 4 pockets ready. And now what was remaining was to arrange them on the skirt how I wanted them to be positioned when I had sewn in. And I just organized them. There's two small pockets on the front side of the skirts, while the bigger pockets and their flaps were on the side of the skirt. So the next step is sewing them in to the skirt. And something that I had forgotten to mention is that when making your pockets, ensure that you leave a tail long enough for sewing in later. And to sew in the skirt, we'll use our darning needle, and we attach our needle to the tail that we left, and we sew in the tail to the skirt to attach the pocket to the skirt. And one tip for sewing in is to ensure that you go through each stitch on the pocket to guarantee that there will be no spaces left. And now I'll just sew in my pockets and I'll see you when I'm done. Here I had finished sewing in my pockets, and what I was doing is basically sewing in the loose ends to ensure that the skirt looks presentable and it doesn't have some hanging threads. So I'll just be sewing in the ends, and then after I'm done I'll show you the final product. And this is the final product after sewing in my ends and doing everything that was required of the skirt. I really like how the small pockets and the big pockets look. I'm really impressed with how it has turned out. And this is how the skirt looks on me, and I really love it. I think it's just beautiful and amazing. I love how everything falls into place. And there are a few mistakes that I made on the base of the skirt, but I really don't think it's a big deal. I'm just excited because this is my second ever crochet project, and it's something that I can actually wear, and I'm really proud of myself for that. If you go ahead and make yours, I hope you can share with me how it looks. And thank you so much for tuning in until the end. Until the next video, peace and love. And remember, true happiness is when you are your biggest fan.